25 cents. That's the exact price of your replacement. While the rest of the world is still wasting hours arguing over whether an AI can write a halfway decent poem, a silent group of orchestrators is using a new protocol to build entire autonomous business departments in a single afternoon. You've been told for years that you need a computer science degree to build software. But in 2026, your vocabulary is your compiler. In the next 14 minutes, I'm going to break down the 7 full business systems I deployed in the last 30 days, from automated lead generation to competitive intelligence, using nothing but English and agent skills. I'll break down the exact 25-cent math and give you the agent skill files so you can stop chatting with AI and start actually deploying it. By the end of this video, you'll see how I compressed 6 months of traditional development into a 30-day sprint using 0 lines of code. Pay attention. There's a hidden agent loop trap that burned through $1,200 of API credits for one user in a single night. I'm going to show you the one sentence that kills that loop forever. Let's look at the last 30 days. It started with a support automation system. I didn't write a ticketing platform. I told Claude Code to watch a shared inbox, categorize every email by sentiment, and draft replies based on a PDF of our internal SOPs. It took 40 minutes to set up. I want to know which of these 7 systems you're picking to build first. Drop it in the comments. Then came the content pipeline. I fed it one long-form video and told it to find 10 talking point moments for LinkedIn and X. It doesn't just transcribe, it edits, formats, and schedules. By week 2, I had the lead gen system running. It scrapes GitHub and LinkedIn to find companies with specific security vulnerabilities. High-intent leads that usually take a sales team weeks of manual hunting to find. Then there's the competitive intelligence monitor. Every Monday at 8 a.m., an agent crawls 5 competitor websites, flags pricing changes, and pings my Slack. To round out the month, I built an onboarding flow that turned a 3-week manual slog of CRM data entry into a 48-hour automated sequence. I added a data reporting agent that syncs Trello tasks into a daily digest and finished with an automated invoicing system that validates PDF data against a CRM and pushes it to accounting. Imagine opening your laptop tomorrow morning and finding your inbox already sorted, your leads already qualified, and your invoices already sent while you slept. The volume of what I built is shocking, but the how's even weirder because I didn't write these systems. I taught them. The 7 systems I just showed you weren't built by a software engineer in a dark room. They were built by a text file, specifically a file named SKILL.md. This is the core of this new agentic framework. It's about moving from being a user to being an architect. Stop begging a chatbot for favors. Most people are stuck in the chat trap, copy-pasting results like a digital intern because they treat AI like a search engine. In 2026, we've moved to Agentic AI, where you stop chatting and start handing out permanent employee handbooks. If you hire a new assistant, you don't shout random tasks at them from across the room all day. You give them a standard operating procedure. You say, when a new invoice arrives, check the vendor name, verify it against our CRM. If it's under $500, approve it. An agent skill is that exact SOP, written in plain English, living inside your project folder as a living command. When you open Claude Code, which is a terminal-native agent that lives on your computer, it doesn't just guess what to do. It reads that SKILL.md file. It treats your English sentences as its source code. If you write, monitor my competitor's pricing page every Monday, Claude Code doesn't just write the script to do it. It executes the script, handles the errors, and saves the data to your database. Picture my screen for a second. On the left, I have a terminal window open with Claude Code running. On the right, I have a simple text file. There are no brackets, no semicolons, and no Python. It just says, Skill, Newsletter Researcher. Step 1. Search Google News for AI agent trends. Step 2. Filter for articles published in the last 24 hours. Step 3. Summarize the top 3 into a bulleted list. I hit enter in the terminal. Claude Code reads that file, realizes it needs to browse the web, spawns a sub-agent to do the searching, and 30 seconds later, the research is sitting in a new folder on my desktop. I didn't write the code for the web scraper. I didn't configure the API for the search engine. I just described the outcome I wanted. This is the skill strategy. The reason one person can now do the work of a 5-person agency is that they aren't coding anymore. They're orchestrating. You're building a library of these files, one for lead scraping, one for invoice processing, one for content repurposing. Each one costs you $0 to create and works across different tools because of a new open standard. If it's really this easy, if anyone who can write a clear email can now build an autonomous business system, why isn't every freelancer and small business owner already doing it? Why are people still paying thousands of dollars for manual labor? Have you ever felt like you have the AI brain but no hands to actually do the work? The answer lies in the implementation gap. Most people have the tool, but they don't have the USB-C cable that connects the AI to the real world. They have the brain but no hands. There's a specific protocol that finally gives Claude those hands, and it's about to change the math of your entire business. The math of the old world is breaking. If you hire a human virtual assistant to scrape leads, validate emails, or process invoices, you're looking at a floor of $3 to $6 per task once you factor in management, software seats, and mistakes. In the new economy, that same task performed by an agent in Claude Code costs exactly 25 cents. That isn't a marginal improvement. It's a 90% collapse in the cost of operations. When the price of an action drops by that much, the volume of what you can build is going to explode. Think about a standard lead generation workflow. A human takes 4 minutes to find a LinkedIn profile, check a website for a specific security vulnerability, and log it in a CRM. At $15 an hour, that single lead costs you $1. I ran this exact same sequence through Claude Code using a search MCP, which is essentially a USB-C connector that lets the AI plug directly into the live web. The agent performed the search, analyzed the site code, and updated the database in 14 seconds for a total API cost of 22 cents. If you do that for 1,000 leads, the human cost is $1,000. The agent's cost is $220. You've just bought back $780 of pure margin without lifting a finger. Try this math on your own most repetitive task tonight and tell me what happens. There's a reason most people are terrified to let these agents run wild. You might have heard the horror stories on Reddit about the agent loop trap. This happens when you give an agent a vague command like, research every competitor in this niche. Without a stop condition, the agent can get caught in a logical circle, hitting the API over and over again while it tries to define what a niche is. One user reported burning through $1,200 in credits in a single night because they left a loop running while they slept. The fix is a single sentence you must include in every SKILL.md file. If the task requires more than 5 consecutive tool calls without a definitive data discovery, pause and ask for clarification. That one line is the difference between a 25-cent employee and a $1,000 mistake. Imagine trying to plug your laptop into a wall, but every country has a different socket. That was AI before the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. Connecting to Slack, Google Drive, or a SQL database used to be a nightmare of brittle code. Now, MCP is the universal adapter. When you plug in a Google Drive MCP, Claude Code doesn't just talk about your files. It reaches out, opens them, and reorganizes your entire business structure in seconds. This universal adapter is why the math is so lopsided. While 84% of developers use AI to write code, only 16% of businesses have actually plugged AI into their operations. That 68% gap is a multi-billion-dollar vacuum. The money in 2026 isn't made by inventing new AI. It's made by being the person who finally gives the AI a set of hands. Think about the average marketing director. They're spending hours every week manually checking competitor websites for price drops or new feature launches. You can solve that tonight. Using Claude Code and a Puppeteer MCP server, you can build an automated competitive intelligence agent that scrapes those sites every Monday morning and flags changes in a Slack channel. You charge $1,500 a month for that intelligence as a service. Your overhead is a $20 Claude subscription and maybe $5 in API credits. That's a $1,475 monthly profit for a system that takes you 2 hours to configure. The same applies to content. Agencies are currently drowning trying to turn long-form podcasts into viral LinkedIn posts. I built a system using Claude Code and a remotion skill that handles the entire pipeline, identifying the high-impact talking points, writing the hooks, and formatting the posts for X and LinkedIn. You could charge $1,000 a month per creator, land 5 clients, and you have a $5,000 a month business run by a terminal window on your laptop. Because this gap is so wide, I've mapped out exactly where the money is hiding. I put together a free cheat sheet with 50 AI business ideas that breaks down the specific industries, from real estate to logistics, that are starving for these exact implementations right now. Grab it at payhip.com/b/3vsqn to see where your specific background gives you an unfair advantage before the market corrects itself. This speed is what catches people off guard. One founder used these exact agentic workflows to build a specialized research tool and sold the entire company in just 6 months. He didn't have a massive engineering team. He had a folder of text files that did the work of 10 people. He spotted a repetitive human task, replaced it with a 25-cent agent, and exited before his competitors even realized the rules had changed. The real wealth in 2026 isn't found in these simple one-off tasks. It's built when you stop being a task runner and start building expert agents that own entire departments. This is where you move from a freelancer to a systems architect. Imagine walking into a mid-market enterprise where hundreds of vital SOPs are buried in rotting PDFs and forgotten Notion pages. Onboarding a new project usually takes weeks of human oversight. But as an orchestrator, you don't just prompt a solution. You build a library of agent skills that teach Claude Code the company's entire brain, creating a digital expert that knows the tone, the compliance, and the architecture better than the senior staff. When you move a business from human speed to agent speed like this, you aren't selling a $500 automation. You're selling a $10,000 to $25,000 infrastructure shift. Consider a marketing coordinator I know who was burnt out on the agency grind. She didn't have a computer science degree, but she understood how go-to-market agencies actually function. She noticed that onboarding a new client, doing the CRM gap analysis, writing the ideal customer profile documents, and setting up the tracking consistently took her team 3 weeks of back-and-forth emails. She spent 30 days mastering Claude Code and building custom MCP servers that could talk directly to a client's tech stack. She turned that 21-day nightmare into a 48-hour automated sprint. She started charging a $5,000 setup fee plus $500 a month for maintenance. With just 12 clients, she was bringing in $6,000 in recurring revenue on top of $60,000 in setup fees. Which one are you choosing, the high-ticket setup fee or the long-term recurring maintenance? $12,000 a month from a $30 tool in 90 days. That's the power of becoming an orchestrator. If you want the actual SKILL.md files I use to run my own business, every file ready to customize, they're all in our free community. Join at school.com/vibe-coding-founders. We're documenting the shift from the chat era to the agent era every week, and I don't want you to be part of the 84% of people who see the tech but never actually implement it. The most common question I get is whether it's too late to start. People look at the growth of AI and feel like they missed the boat in 2024. But look at the data. Anthropic Engineering reports that 90% of the code for Claude Code was written by the tool itself. We're just now entering the phase where the tools are building the tools. The marketing coordinator I mentioned, she didn't start a year ago, she started 30 days ago. And tonight you can do the same. You don't need to build a $10,000 system by Tuesday. You just need to move from being a consumer to being an architect. Pragati Kunwer here to tell you your specific action for tonight. It'll take you less than 60 minutes. Download the Claude Code command line interface. Open your terminal and create one single file named research.md. Inside that file, write a simple instruction. Find 5 direct competitors for my business, visit their pricing pages, and create a summary table of their entry-level tiers. Save it. Type the command to run that file in Claude Code. Then, watch. You'll see the terminal come to life. You'll see it navigate the web, parse the data, and deliver a finished report in seconds. In that moment, the skepticism will disappear. You won't just be looking at a screen, you'll be looking at your first employee. Remember that 25-cent employee we talked about at the beginning? You just hired your first one. The implementation gap is closing, But the window for you to lead the charge is wide open. Stop prompting your way to nowhere and start building systems that work while you sleep. The era of the prompt engineer is over. You're not someone who chats with AI anymore. You're an orchestrator who deploys it. 7 systems, 30 days, 0 code. Your first one starts tonight.